Here's a little song that I thought of, not a full song, but a few lyrics that I thought of when I was recovering from my breakage, coming out of a nursing home, out of the bed into a chair and into a walker. And while walking down the hall of the nursing home, getting to 100 feet, I remember thinking, well, I'm dumb and I'm fat and I'm fucked and I'm bald and I just shit down my leg. Oh, 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 I'm dumb and I'm fat and I'm fucked and I'm bald and I just shit down my leg. Anyway, and it's been a long road of recovery since then. And I was just thinking about how all the pieces fit and whether or not to turn a blind eye to it or not. And then I was thinking of that 15-year-old kid. There's a meme out there now about some kid. What was it called? Like Unkby or something? I don't know. It's been a few days and I forgot already, but some kid filed to run for president with this particular filing process, and it dawned on me that maybe I should get in the race as a go-between between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, and go as an independent and see whom I might draft party alignment with from all constituency, and run under the virtue that I have no family, meaning I have family, but I have no offspring, and on the virtue of trying to find the exact names, photos, Facebook pages of whomever runs the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the who is emceeing. I guess it's all Googleable to some extent, but I'm just wondering if the world needs a website, right? A website that is legal, that discusses every transaction that goes on with regards to the federal government, right? Except for maybe the exception of some sort of military thing, but then the campaign is to find out who is continuing this empire building thing because Google has internet prevalence over the planet, right? So Google God, people controlling Google are doing it, but other countries have different networks, and so this isn't so applicable. But as far as the bonded technology between Apple and Google and software engineers, non-open source code, information encryption, very very important. But yeah, I'd run under the schizophrenic ticket, the broken, drug using, the Americana, medical marijuana is the new Americana. That song by Hazley should be my backup, or my backup song. Oh yes, baby. Oh yes, baby. Oh. Okay. Anyway, I like this lady named Hendrix. Yeah, I like her. I like her words. I like her pictures. I liked the coffee shop interaction I once had with her many years ago. I met her after I had been in recovery for a year. And, was kind of just coming out of a wheelchair, partially in a wheelchair. Anyway, and hey, for all you guys that don't know Bubonic Nate, like, Bubonic Nate is pissed off at me for implying that his wife was implying to me, which was wrong-headed on my part, that she was hitting on me based off of the word hooky, a willingness to play hooky, and imply her working at homeness and something like that. All I know is I was reading into and realized the acute spectral analysis, like 3D printing of speculation, that you can pick up what people aren't laying down, what they're not intending, right? And that's normally a free association exercise that's learned through, I don't know, I would say a deconstructive process of crossing one's eyes, right? Anyway, so it's a bit of a bivalence here. I was just debating right there whether or not to put in a little like 1950s devil squirrel, little devil baby, and like as a poster on this wall for this Demon High swim meet painting that I'm working on. It's the Demon Intermedley, like where you swim one or more lengths of each stroke during a single race. So it's the Demon I Am, and it's the first heat. And I've got appropriate. I'm working on gold and silver markings on the main demon, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I wanted to paint and talk. I guess try to get on my mind what's going on in my mind. Yeah, Cousin Bill is probably dying very soon, and that's a problem. My not knowing whom I'm catching, exactly how things fall out is a little discomforting. Discomforting. Anyway, if I was president, I would smoke. I mean, I would listen to that song about Americana and marijuana at least 3 days a week, probably, as I gathered advisement. And then depending on the situation, I would come off of it, because it would be a schizophrenic thing to not be expressive when one is exploring the very avenues of their presumed representation of the world. Right? But, anyway, and by that I mean something like this, right? Like, what does that entail? It's like, okay, there's marriage there. Right? There's a ring. It's like this weird. I don't know if you can make that out even. It's pretty light on the camera. So who knows? Anyway, maybe I should flesh that one out. Or Sharpie, since it's just pencil. Huh. Interesting. Anyway. Yeah. I implied that wobblage to not knowing exactly the ties between representation in artwork and the universe. Just that, to some extent, there is not only a direct correlation, but a noticeable life correlation that occurs with each painting. So George Bush paints after he's in the White House. I would be painting in the White House. Yes, I would have Donald Trump type advisors and managers around me. But the main goal is still a federally backed website that shows exactly who runs the IMF, who gets the benefit of any profit or income from the Federal Reserve without earning it just by simply being in a family or a banking system or an institution, and who owns those banking institutions. Who owns them, right? And put all of this on display so the world knows exactly and precisely all the back-rubbing, non-statesman, non-politician, non-Republican politicians bought out, sold out, highest bidder, forced everything into complete hierarchy. If there is a hierarchy, these pyramids of hierarchy should not be so acute as to not allow people to climb them all the way to the heights of control that you have in a promise that unnetworked genetic codes can rule over this hierarchy, or smash the damn thing down and make it at least the most obtuse, very small hierarchy, if not just a design in the road, right? If not just a downshot of a hierarchy that looks like that you walk on a sidewalk. You know what I mean? Like a complete non-hierarchical economy. Is that possible? Is everything in 3D? I suppose every idea may be in 3D. Maybe in 3D. Anyway, doesn't matter. Should matter. I'm not letting anything matter. I have to wait until stuff happens. I can't. I'm beyond speculation. I guess it's okay to have hope again, because it gives you direction, and even hope plays a role in life. And, I don't know. I've made some bad errors in life, about my own life, so a lot of people would not be able to relate to me. But I would also be on a mission to disclose alien interaction with the species, unexplained phenomena research, not just dumping money into SETI, but just assuming that it's already happening, right? It's already, the interaction's already here. We're already connected spiritually, for lack of a better word. We're connected to higher intelligences, right? Like AI, aliens, gods, godheads, demons, demon high swim meet, the brain, man comes in second, and this head demon here slaughters this fish, comes out of the water, and yet it's like it turned God into a cat's eye. So we throw a pentagram over here and call it home of the thunder goats, and then here is the woman's heat, getting ready to start, and yeah, love on both sides. And, it's the first heat, but it's a broken love. It's a broken love. but at least it's balanced and explosive, and that's partially due to my emotional connection with Janine, but she was so much of a twin flame. I had to uh, uh, burn through very quickly the amount of energy we both had to express and exude, and realize that it was kind of leading to a relationship of damages. Like, okay, so get more businessy. And I'm like, I've done business. I've worked in locations. I'm networking. Okay, that's the thing. If I run, I will hire, by recommendation of Donald Trump, business negotiators. And if he doesn't want to fess up as to who they are because he's too big of a puss, then I'll say you're not being truthful about you really wanting to make America better. And the reason the schizophrenic ticket, the disabled, schizophrenic, middle-aged, broken, grassroots man functions better than Bernie Sanders is because I would have gotten into a fight or at that stand about my speech with Black Lives Matters, right? Yet, on the other hand, my friend Janine is black. Uh, and yet sparks hit when we're together, which are different than fireworks. And it's not romantic, and but it's okay. It's fun. It's good experience. Um, Sometimes with a grain of salt. So anyway, yeah. So the reason I'd be better than Bernie Sanders is because his black equity approach is fine, but he misses and oversteps an issue, right, of multiculturalism in the world, right? Vandana Shiva shit. The multivarious biology possibilities, the multivarious cultural phenomena that Google has already taken over. The internet has already like encapsulated the entire globe, like a network Borg. I mean, maybe there's some pockets where it's not available, but I don't know if I buy that anymore. And even maybe really primitive tribes have a cell phone now. Who knows? Who knows? But if they do, it's a collaboration and almost an extinction, a complete monism of the planet. So that is followed up by military empire building, because the United States fucked up on its trade agreements. Thanks, Bill Clinton. Thanks for NAFTA, Bill Clinton. Fucker. Jew mouth fucker. Which, by the way, good job. Good job. Anyway, and don't get me wrong, I would be unlike Donald Trump in that I don't want to be a pig to women, but I know of discourse about sexual contact. Anyway, so I was thinking, okay, run, right? File to run, posit this, and then the only backlash that I have is if I run, right? And then I've got to succinct my policy, right? I have to succinct it, and then I have to do it, and then if I get in office, I don't have any offspring for them to kill, right? So as I'm making this policy that the government disclosed, that there's a voting a website dedicated strictly for everything that the person will need politically, right, for the federal government, their relationship to the federal government. And why not expound it? You know, you could have apps for every state or links, let other people do state information in terms of all money issued, every transaction, every email on business networks disclose. But it's weird. Her own personal server, Hillary Clinton's own personal server, right? There's probably, I would imagine, some salacious shit in there. I mean, hell, maybe she was on Ashley Madison. You know, who knows? I've joined some affair sites, and nothing ever came of it. But I suppose that since I've violated and been forgiven by God, that I can just go on being me, and if being me means that God is infinite love, or that I'm going to hell because I paint demons, then so be it. But what I think is that that there's a certain sort of like a lack of coaching going on for like assistance to congressmen, right? People's assistance, right, needs to also be noted. Like, look, we will know everything about everybody that's in and pulling if the strings, right? Full disclosure, all knowledge, Tesla energy, Tesla information, a complete increase in hyper energy, which will globalize this planet, and it will become a singular beacon that I propose will become the point of what hopefully maybe be not first contact, that's already happened, but mass paradigm, even if it requires propaganda, heavy propaganda towards alien existence, extracurricular existence, greater levels of hierarchical intelligences that people resonate with, an alignment with their sense of well-being as it travels through the prism of consciousness, that both allows us to believe, maybe because of stochastics, that we have free will, where everything is just a sliding, predetermined process, where we look at the virtue of William S. Burroughs. The Good Will Hunting is ode to William S. Burroughs at the end. And one of his quotes was, in a pre-recorded universe, the only thing that is not pre-recorded is the pre-recording itself, right? And then realizing that everything that is happening, right? It is happening, and the war on drugs, absolutely over. For-profit prisons, absolutely, I think, unexcusable. I don't know, like intranationally, like intra, right? Not inter, but maybe an international jail. No, that'd be like Guantanamo, right? That's finally we let Cuba back in, so good job, Obama. It's just weird. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe world trade is best, but the manufacturing jobs, the re-industrialization of the country is also important, but social welfare as we move into a more automated robotic, highly intelligent offspring of the artworks of groups of people, schools and individuals who are very technologically inclined, who need to remain networked and hopefully share information and become wealthy for their ideas. But there needs to be a time limitation on patents. Patents must become free and public for many to use. 3D printing is important. 3D modeling is important. The future of laser projection, the future of high tech, it's all here. So it's all here. See, that's the point. Is if I made it into office, you guys would find out from me exactly when I became the whipping boy, and I started like having to grease profits over here, right? Because that would all be recorded. Because we'd have a digital competing currency, right, which can speed things up very quickly, and we could also have a physical matching currency for that competing currency, and perhaps, like now, a lot of people don't know that statistically, when your money comes out of the bank, right, the serial number, every time it goes through that machine, if it doesn't have a camera that's recording all of those serial numbers, which I believe it does, right, then the next person who registers that serial number in another bank will give a statistical route, and then cameras showing purchases and purchasing and facial recognition. Pretty much the technology is landed, and we are all aware that certain amounts of money and organizations, maybe like Virgin Airlines or the PayPal guy who has his rocket company, these guys, very interesting guy. Also, anyway, but my point is that I would be hardline to make certain that the social welfare that Bernie Sanders put forth was considered great and progressive, even though he argues, hey, we need national boundaries because those are the limits of that population's laws. Right? But as the federal government loosens its relationship to state power relative to, like marijuana's Schedule 1 federal consideration relative to states' freedoms, to have that a states dominating the federal government in terms of these certain policies. I believe this needs to become much more dynamic. This notion that it would take very long to amend the Constitution, I think that could be challenged, right? Meaning the Constitution is a spine of laws, of bills, of articles and principles, policies, rules to follow, right? Now, we can add on this spine new vertebrae. We can exclude and rewrite different parts of this. Everybody on this website would know every single thing, right, that is being voted on. Every single thing you would have access to, right? And 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 I think that the voting age should be risen to like 25. Just so all that piss, cum, and fucking vinegar of reproduction from 16 to like 24, the early spurters, like don't give them a vote, right? Like you guys don't deserve a vote, right? 'Cause you're going to be too much like worried about this that you're just going to believe in your parents' politics anyway. It's going to show that you didn't even fucking care, right? So maybe I don't believe in voting tests after you're an adult, but let's say between the ages of 18 and 24, you have to pass some political awareness and consequent uh, score in order to be allowed to vote in your district and nationally and even internationally, right? Because if this becomes a world economy and we understand treaties, we do treaties. These are on behalf of treaties. Things like NAFTA, international policy, can be shrouded within laws, probably other legal definitions other than treaty that are used also for implementing international policy. But some of these negatives of another country being able to sue a corporation within our country for what our intra-country laws say is not only a freedom but a right of that corporation, and for them to pose a legal implication, I think that that is a result of fair play. Right now, there are this implications also. Race tensions, right? We need to increase more Asian dialogue in the populace because there's this bullshit notion, and Helton is spreading that America is mostly a binary black and white institution, right, or history. And she paused when she was about to say melting pot, as if Eskimos from Eskimo history and Native American genes do not live in mega pockets and breed and bleed and share genetics both in and all over this country, right? As well as Chinese genes and Asian, and I will use the term Oriental, and allowing these historic typographies of race to continue to occur is an argument for a racial consciousness, right? That Eric Orwell and I believe Dr. Amos Wilson discuss, and I think it's nice to discuss it. I think Eric brings it as a God-willed thing, and I'm certain this is still a cultural bias that can be erased within a generation simply by mere disconnect. The current internet generation has so much data they think they need to work through that to bond with the strains, right? To bond with the strains of necessary political discourse, I would say, is also a reason why when one is younger and more preoccupied, they're less political. They haven't had a chance to re-reflect on their own lives, let alone political lives, so they become puppets to their parents, which to some extent is also dandy. It's an expression of population growth, real numbers representing things. So we get rid of the Electoral College. right? That gets cast out. And if there are elected officials to judge, you know, that's fine. Gerrymandering, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I believe in gerrymandering anymore, in the slightest. I'm not even certain what sort of foldbacks we need, right, to know who's in power. Now, this isn't a forward thinking. This is more of a disclosure candidacy, right? As far as forward thinking, right, like my stance on ISIS is the Iran having nuclear weapons already, right, where we just don't want to disclose that, right? It's already the case, right? This is why Obama had to take their terms, like, no, we don't even get to inspect it, you know, if that is in fact the case, right? And there's not, of course there were more words exchanged and during these conferences, but those words don't have to necessarily go down management. So anyway, so if I take on, so what I'm suggesting is this, that the repercussions against the United States for invading Iraq are going to be oscillating, and the idea of going in and taking oil fields for profit to justified as a choking off the financial resources of an impending enemy does seem justifiable. The control of the entirety of Iraq's financial system, that's another thing. Now, people will say it's speculative. Iran does not have the bomb, because if they did, they would just blow Israel up. Israel has plenty of bombs to bomb whomever they want. The U.S., I'm not going to see y'all kissing Israel's ass either, right? Like, I'll wish you guys the best of luck. Apparently, you guys are just clearing property for reproduction and expansion of your own blood out into Gaza. I mean, Palestine. And you're already bottlenecked. I mean, you cork the whole flow of black and brown traffic out of Africa into Eurasia. Why the hell did Israel build land on the African bottleneck, right? It's like, that's where the Jewish land should have been, right there, or across the way. Like, we'll take this, you stay down there, you enslave your own people, right? The history of enslavement needs to be discussed diabolically, more in the public eye. More people should listen to more general data without assuming that major awareness of the movement of vibrations that are happening globally. You should also have a vote and a say and a reproduction of the envisioner of the system's reason for implementing it, exactly whom is still controlling it, vetting it, managing it, and benefiting from it. Some human, right? Some human is out there, and some. I'm not saying there's not networks of control. I'm just saying some people, families, groups, business partners are pulling major strings. Now, oftentimes the Smith program, as in the Matrix, as in Mormons, the Smith program, they move up very quickly, and then they bring each other up, like the monkey barrels kids game, right? Old game. You have two hooking monkeys and you pull them out of a barrel, right? That is very that's very important to understand, that the internalized networking of major religions that yield some pretty intelligent guys who often speak multiple languages, whom are nothing like, I shouldn't say nothing, but nothing like Catholic and Protestant isms in terms of, you know, the leftover artifacts of, you know, non-Catholic. You know, a lot of atheists out there don't understand that their atheism stems directly not from modern considerations of greater otherly intelligences in the universe that can affect our own, aka God, gods, etc. But they don't see that they are coming from a Catholic moral taming, and they are dissuaded by biblical arguments, and they have good reason to be. The possibility of things that can go on, that will go on in the future, is more understood. People are becoming just more internet cosmopolitan about things. Right? Certain intelligences are at root. I also realize that the devil is in the details, and we need to demand and fight for transparency, a disenslavement from the capitalistic masters who are keeping us from Ron Paul's competing currency idea to certain libertarian ideas. If you do believe in a nation state and internality of laws that are becoming networks to eventually reduce a nationalism to a worldism, then there's problems. I do remember when Yahoo had full access, in their very conception, you could interact on their front page with people in China and all over the world. You know, I was interacting with people in Russia and Afghanistan and in China and in Australia, and then it kind of became more shut down. There's more communication going on with people in Australia and people in oh, the UK. Anybody in Queensland can mix with the United States, right? But South America, I mean, maybe it's just strictly language block, but I imagine that there's a lot of people in South America who do speak English, and they're probably online, and I'm just not hearing them, hearing their voices. And that's fine. I don't speak any other language fluently to be considered anything other than monolinguist. A little bit of Korean, and, a little French, and a little Spanish, but nothing. I mean, I hear a little bit. It's just to tell you where I'm at. Okay, more policy though. ISIS. Yeah, you do what it takes to stop more bloodshed. These war-mongering presidents who are out for strict empirical future control, whether this becomes a Borg planet or a federation, right? Whether this becomes an empire with Darth Maul and Darth Vader, or whether it's got Han and Luke and whomever else is coming out in the new one, right? Etc., etc. So Elders are good as advisors. I'm not saying elders shouldn't run the country, but Donald Trump, quite frankly, has not been through enough physiological hell to relate with the disabled, those who help the disabled, those who work in nursing homes, those who work to care for the broken, and the whole spectrum between the dilapidated, homeless, hungry, disabled, disenfranchised, disconnected, plateauing across this country with a who gives a fuck, do what you want, movie star, cut it out attitude. And don't get me wrong, I say do that. If you want to float to the top of expression and income and so forth that way, I suppose that's okay, right? But you'll have to do so with a competing currency. You'll have to do so as long as the capitalism control of currency is made, right? Is propagated. And I'll use Adam, what's his name? Adam Kokesh as an advisor. He will be an advisor. Stefan Molyneux will be an advisor for policy change. And then kind of a full spectrum kind of acknowledgement of health care for all people, like Elysium and Bernie Sanders fight for. That certain, if and as long as a nation state with capitalism exists, or states, or pockets, or tribes, or groups, somehow there's got to be an internal cleansing, a douching out, an enema-ing out, a barfing out, a cleaning out, a cleansing, a master cleansing of crony paid-off capitalism. All, look, prostitution becomes legal. The war on drugs ends. Drug legalization and cultivation of hemp products, marijuana smoking, all of this is fine. Now, if I'm not opposed to saying, like, there's some super strain that starts growing that's killing people, that there could not be a group of statesmen, no longer politicians, rubbing greased hands, or at least without you knowing, right? Sold out whipping boys. Take money out of politics, just like the Young Turks say. The wolf pack movement, right? Demonized swim meat. Like, look, something's got to be cleaned out. It's got to be lubed up, got to be cauterized. It's got to be surgery. But I don't think it's Ben Carson. I'm not saying it's not, because he's like, his surgery allows him and the medical profession, like Ron Paul, to get a scope of the body of politics. That's not what I think the problem is with Carson. Carson, I don't necessarily know if he believes in a world embodiment, a consciousness. Right now, I fetter through, even post-Enlightenment, the production and the putting forth of negative icons, demonology, Church of Satan, allowances, so forth, right? I've considered theosophy and been an atheist and been a Catholic and a practicing serial churchgoer in college. His name is Quinn, and yeah, and I've read philosophies, and I've played chess, and I've juggled, and I've even for short stints ridden a unicycle, and I've clowned out, I've jammed out, I've pulled out. Good thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. And then I pulled out of relationships, which I shouldn't have pulled out of. Carrie, Jan, and mostly Carrie. And, yeah, sure. And everybody. Everybody. Dory, maybe. I don't know how Dory got out from under my skin there, but something wasn't quite jiving with some of our outlooks. So, full democracy through a computer system discloses all political transactions, emails, all data that would imply that you know how a politician is going to vote, weigh in, sign to, whether they're going to ignore a vote in Congress, and then a law limiting terms for Congress and Senate, and even the I don't know, the court. Maybe they should stay in there until they die as represented until they until humanity develops um, infinite life technologies, transhumanism, supposing that's even possible, right? In any case, my doubts about how a presidential run this late in the game could actually unfold into a statement about the mindset, the numbness, the apathy mindset that I do believe people should be naturally allowed to go through, but for extended dilations in one's life, I think that is bad, and that people should not stay intertwined, laterally drifting in apathy because they do not know which way or they don't know which pyramid's going where, what flat land leads them where, which wave to ride, which boats to travel, right? They haven't lost themselves and otherized and then come back and reunified, and so many people in their transformation will not wake up, or they'll wake up, but others won't believe they're woken up, and then they'll fall back into their groove instead of staying wide awake. There we go. Okay, and that's just a sideline thought. Okay, as far as the devaluation of the yen, international law, or what? Sanctions, taxes. You don't do that? I don't know if I buy that. The one thing the little guy, the capitalist within the system, has going for him is the play and trust in contracts. Unfortunately, too many people have 401ks. They're whoever the managers are of certain 401ks are so like the first big boats to sink when there's a mass shift and buy-off of, of stock, and and uh, and yet a government policy to lower the value of yen is devastating in that it does network with the United States. Right? It does network with the United States. Okay, so as far as what that means, that sounds like a reason to pull your corporations out of our country, right? Vanda Shiva, multiculturalisms, pockets of networks on the planet, not a worldwide, one world order system. It's gonna be it's gonna be massive bloodsheds in an attempt to monize the world into a singular belief system without them knowing that there's this normative control network that's attempting to prevail that mind. Now, some people use drugs for enlightenment, other ones use it to escape. You can use drugs for cannabis, marijuana, so forth. You can use that for contemplation, consideration, right? Now, the other thing that I'm thinking is that if in fact it's better to manage the world instead of letting it fall into a primitive, non-capitalistic anarchy, right? Which these world tensions are averting. It's becoming quite obvious that there's tensions going on as the world's readjusting to international policies, right? And so if these tensions become too high for a certain normative habitual state, such that it's decimating their population, right, with no good humanitarian aid, like in Haiti, then that does need to be um, identified with, propagandized, made aware to the public. Right. If anyone came across my channel, they would find kind of a weird coiling around kind of the binary between a man who thinks he wants kids, me, and antinatalists who don't have kids, also like me, or who have kids that don't believe in having more kids, simply because they've fallen into a sense of apathy. They've not adjusted their physiology appropriately, maybe for time and work concerns, which continues this notion that the human being is but a productivity machine, that capitalism, by its very nature, carving out one's financial existence, is a part of the welfare, a general welfare for disabled people, whom can periodically show that they are disabled in some capacity. That welfare I believe, should compensate for what they can't bring home. Yet I kind of like the welfare system now to some extent, except the homeless population, who a lot of them are drug users, right, are still, if when they choose to come out of it, they don't seem to have the governmental help. So getting the homeless a home, I think, is an internal project that should work. You can optionally be out of your home, right? But, if you're found damaging yourself, um, other than self-scarring, like if you're a meth junkie and you're a doctor would look at your physiology and judge that you are incapable of this. Um, you would be able to remain in the house, and at the same time, I think you should be able to remain in a house, like a tiny house, like in LA, right? They're going through policy moves there, where the city buys lots of property and builds tiny houses or tiny apartment buildings, right? Very tiny apartment buildings, to give enclosure spaces to all the homeless in the greater Los Angeles, America, the American population, the greater American homeless population. Technological companies, I think if the government just gets out of the way and says, hey, you guys want your solar panels here, and someone's got the land for it, yeah, definitely allow the transaction to occur in order to go. Even, see, the irony of the capitalistic system is that it allows for a measurement of one's ability relative to their environment, not considering the inheritance and the inheritance that came forth. Right, in terms of financial inheritance, right? Like, how did that family earn their money? Was it vulture capitalism? Like Donald Trump has been, knows the dirty side, that strictly Mitt Romney was just the dirty side. Oh, great, we got this really ideal Mormon who's a vulture capitalist and fucked over corporations, right? That's how he made his wealth. Right? And then you got Donald Trump, who fucking lies like a son of a bitch about, gets everyone going, then reels them in, then, like, he acts like fucking, Carol O'Connor facing off against Sidney Poitier in the heat of the night. You got to check that out. Right? So this attitude of, hey, I'm gonna be mutable and always temper shit, and I'm gonna move shit and shift shit and get shit done and toss money around and buy buildings and then build more wealth and think that, hey, I didn't inherit anything, but hey, since I'm the epitome American dream. I'm the offspring of wealthy entrepreneurial type of immigrants or families, however back Trump's family lineage goes. But the belief that I am so worth it that I must have offspring has crossed my mind. And it has crossed my mind is but a belief. But it doesn't seem as if it's something I'm opposed to. Right? I would potentially start a new family in the White House if I felt that I was not simply negotiating with the higher-ups or being buttered up with the higher-ups, just that they, like Alex Jones, like they're not going to kill you and your family, right? If they're going to kill someone, they're just going to kill you, or they're going to wipe your history all over the place. Now, the thing about me is my history is so shitty. As a job hopper, as an artist, as a druggie, as a user of cigarettes, as a immoral sexual player, I think that's what they call him, as a player. I understand the working man and woman supporting their child when they decide to have that, and locking down in a good profession. But there should be also a means of helping people migrate through different career paths and opportunities, like a worldwide job board, right? And a worldwide, like a website for all educational facilities to be explored and data mined, and this includes medical school, right? Meat packaging and ethics of meat. On my platform, every pig, chicken, cow, duck, anything we eat industrially will be given a name or a number, but probably a name. Should have a name, like you were eating this sentient being named Bernie. I shouldn't say Bernie, I didn't mean that. Bernie, Ert and Bernie. There we go. Everyone knows we like Ernie more than Bert. Bert Conehead. Okay, I'm okay with Bert too. Bert's a good guy. I like Bert. But, what was I saying? Where was I going? Get back on topic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, abortions and meat, right? If one has an abortion, even if, non-disclosure of the medical record is legal, right? There should be within the system, the center, the parenthood that is providing the abortion, like the cow or the pig, a name or a number, but most definitely a name, not a name or a number, a name and a number are associated with that abortion. And if there are more than one zygotes or organisms in the stomach, then they will have respective number of names also, right? And these names and I guess photos of abortions at whatever stage they are will be made public on a website with names, and then every animal, when you buy it, it will have a sticker with its name on it, its face on it. A before and after the slaughter photo will be on that meat. There won't be any of this mixed mass fucking contamination. If you buy, because if the government can data mine as much as it can data mine, then the meat industry will need to put in technology to denote the name of every cow in every gallon of processed hamburger that's being passed, right? But cameras will be allowed and maybe even mandatorily placed in any place where livestock is being raised, so you will know whether or not it was raised ethically on a farm, killed quickly, whether or not it's got some sort of Muslim or Jewish, some Abrahamic kosher killing process. The videotaping of the animal in process should also maybe be attached online. Right, and then infinitely, if you want, like, name a star, like I'm going to pay to name a star, right? If you want to name every dandelion on the planet that a little kid picks up and blows its seeds into the wind, I will say that's an absurdity, right? So. Government disclosure, the PC world is problematic. It's not problematic for progress, it's problematic for authentic, multicultural voices, right? And, yeah, bringing strong, insightful orators of consideration to pass through my cabinet and yeah, requirements. Not to skip this. Requirements. If you are a senator or a congressman, you must, unless for medical or family reasons, you must have listened to the entire bill that you're signing, right? You must have done that, or read it, or had an advisor read it that is giving you a synopsis of it in the worst case scenario, so you can make your best judgment. Unless there's medical or family emergency where you would put a vote in proxy instead of leaving an empty seat, fuck you, Congress people, you Senate people, you motherfuckers, for being the supposed voice and representation of the public and dodging so much shit. Maybe because you're in a bind, a rock in a hard place. Maybe it's because you're too lax, you're coasting. Maybe because you know it's bullshit. Maybe because you're not true statesmen. Or maybe because our government's so hijacked anyway, you're also apathetic, and this is just another charade in the stage of humanity, right? What to say? What to say? What to say? I think if I'm gonna file to run, I gotta at least file. But, I wanted to finish this painting. I have some things I gotta do, but I guess, you know, if I'm gonna take business seriously and run for president under these policies, and if you have any other questions about any policy, any questions about any policy, any idea, and you want my consideration of it, my feedback of it, I will tell you that. And the whole idea is to engender a communicative, interactive, not only positive discourse with the public, but a attempt to make transparent and perhaps gut out entirely the financial controls that 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 are worthless in our future existence, and maybe work towards, not certain how much structure yet, but I think it's called the Even Money Project, that as not necessarily a form of welfare, but if one chooses, if their life is so bad, they can become a part of a market of even money, where no matter what they are doing with their existence, they will have enough to live on during a certain period of time, and that this would be implemented within the nation as a example of what America can do with its impoverished, in order to shift money. I do agree with Sanders. The money needs, corporate welfare and bailouts has made much more acute the pyramids of hierarchy than they were in the past. That is an acute pyramid compared to that. And if we can, once again, flatten it or make it as the most obtuse as possible, still allowing this to happen, just not allowing political crony capitalism to occur, A, without transparency, B, otherwise. So the Fed, transparency, not only do we get to see their interaction, we get to know precisely, the public gets to know, Men in Black disclosure, it gets to know everything that the NSA is doing, full disclosure of the NSA. If there's a policy, we're going to check into Brazil's banking records and eavesdrop on their email, they need to be notified that this is happening beforehand. This overt swiping, maybe that is just the upcoming war that is the data war. So while we're becoming an international trade, and we're tightening the borders, we're bringing it in, we're reeling it in, and we're pushing it out at the same time, there's consequences to you as a corporation for going over there. We will not allow the other countries to compete with our intra-interests. I'm not saying we won't allow them to compete, right? Because they are competing and they're winning the competition. It will be not without backlash, right? It will be illegal to not have a headquarters, a manufacturing headquarters within the United States if one is a manufacturer of anything that is not strictly an import business. Right? You cannot develop Apple or GE in, or Google in the U.S. Right? And these guys get tax breaks like no one's business. Right? You cannot build them in China at those wages, selling to Americans without having also a competing plant within the United States. Right? So like Amazon's headquarters here, then they go there. Now if they uproot it from here, that's a problem. Right? So there would always be like a corporate requirement if capitalism and corporations to build wealth and progress are, that's part of the unfolding of the theos and mythos and the most robust, expounded human range of human possibility and capability. If the teleology, the future point, the bullseye that we're driving towards, whether the dart is spinning in space cyclically around the sun or not, the trajectory of humanity is what is most important. The cleaning up the mess that is at home is most important. Right? Starting with oneself. Right? Don't just... If marijuana becomes, instead of a positivity to the body, the physiology, then it becomes a pollutant. And I believe the habituation, people, marijuana is habit forming. It can be addictive. I think alcohol can be also. I think there's, the denial that marijuana is addictive, physiologically does not suppose that it's not also psychologically addicting to want to think in this enlightened, aka polluted, aka enlightened fashion. So, if capitalism and world government must prevail, and I fail to dismantle or uncover the real, true benefactors of world monetary structure and systems, this would all need, under my administration, to be disclosed very loudly with lots of monitors and government-paid paparazzi following these people. Right? So, and the only way to find them apparently is to go up. So I'm running for president, and I'm going to file my paperwork, and I'll let you know when that happens. And Adam, I don't know if you'd be the best running mate. You showed weakness. You got arrested. I'm not fucking with you. I got arrested too. But Vandana Shiva, bitches. Multiculturalism, maintenance, not world domination, world solidarity. Solid world, not a ruled over world. Thank you. Amen. Amen. I guess. Or Sudan.